there, Wildsiles appeared, and welcome back to another episode of Gaming Glories. That's right, only half the year later. Unlike my other, unlike my other series, Gaming Woes, that takes about like 1 to 2 months to pop up. Unfortunately, that seems to be the case. I was hoping it would be the opposite. But times are shit. I guess, I don't know. Hopefully the balance of power will shift more towards the positive the more time goes by. I mean, hell, we're on our way to a new console we're here at a new console generation, and the future is very kind of bright. I'm not going to hold my breath for genuine optimism there. For like, I'm not going to put my heart on a pike if things go south, because I'm worried that things may go south. Point is, I'm not going to bet any money on this. But no, I know this is like being uploaded a day, like literally a day. I'm filming this today. The day it gets uploaded. I guess I'm recording, not filming, but I want to make a sort of predictions video about E3 2014, and once again, this video will more or less be useless starting, like, I don't know, on the 11th. I love E3. I mean, I know that's contrary to a lot of people's opinions on E3, but me personally, I find it very entertaining. I love just the whole mood of it. It's like Christmas video game themed, you know? And you just get so much information at once about like all the products that you've been thinking about, all the video games that you're open for, all the hardware, software. It's just a nerd's paradise. That's what it is, folks. And I want to do a run through on the 3 big cheeses of 2014, and that is to say PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. All three of them in their competition to outdo one another, and ultimately I feel that what was the word? Darn it, I already messed up. But no, I'm going to do a recap on E3 2013, one of the I wouldn't say infamous, but certainly one of the more eventful E3s, I think, of the last, like, decade or so. But just to clarify with that one, the quote-unquote winner, that's what this whole thing's about, right? Who won? Who blew us all away at the show, at their press conferences, even though technically Nintendo doesn't do press conferences anymore. That's okay. They're still shoving out their shit, same as everybody else. And I'm going to get to why this may still be a good move for Nintendo. I know Nintendo isn't doing as well as its competition, but it is rising out of the fucking ashes like a fucking phoenix. Oh my god. But I'm going to be focusing on a recap of that, and of ye old 2013, and that is to say that I think it's unanimous in everybody believes that PlayStation ultimately won 2013. Why? Because they're the only ones who were actually fucking reasonable there. They showed off their console, made it an interesting design, and they priced it at $100 lower than the competition. That's ultimately is what blew everybody away. The fact that they were willing to put themselves in the minds of the audience that was watching. They knew what it was about. They knew their competition would stand no chance when they present something like that. Granted, I still feel like the whole introduction to the controller was a bit lame. I'm not going to beat around the bush here, but in the end, I still say it's a damn good controller. That being said, did it need a whole conference based around it? Fuck no. No controller. Unless this controller comes with a fucking blowjob machine, count me out. I'm not going to spend that much time on it. Granted, I do love controllers, so that says something. And Xbox was definitely the loser at the competition, simply because they priced their product at their main products being the Xbox One versus the PS4. The Xbox One at 500, they shoehorned Kinect into it. They made Kinect the focus feature, and they the worst part about it was that they kept insisting on telling people what they can't do with their product as opposed to what they can do with their product. And so, in the end, it felt like a lot of people got the idea in their heads that ultimately buying an Xbox One is just like paying someone $500 to slap you across the face. Not too hard, but in the end, you're the one who loses. It's a lose-lose situation with the Xbone. At least when it came to last year's press conference. Not to say that the Xbone hasn't improved since then. In fact, I dare say it has improved since then. I'm never gonna buy it, so help me God, but they can improve it. I'm not gonna lie, they can make it even on par with the PS4 if they try hard enough. And of course, there's Nintendo. Unfortunately, last year marks one of the worst days for Nintendo. And one of the worst years of Nintendo. Once again, the year of Luigi, hardy har har. But at least they didn't trip over themselves. They were clear enough. They went in with a whisper and left with a whisper. They were completely indifferent. They announced dumb games for the Wii U and the 3DS. They did have surprisingly enough a 3DS focus, which I'm not going to complain. The 3DS is probably one of the best. I dare say it is the best handheld system since the Game Boy Advance. And no, I'm not going to say anything about the PS Vita, at least not for right now. And in terms of like best to worst quality. I mean, I've never gotten my hands on a Vita, but oof, that library. I'm going to now continue on with the E3 2014 nominees. Here we go. And I've got it all written down here, so forgive me if I keep pausing and looking down at my notes. Okay, so first we've got PlayStation's press conference. Ironically enough, wait, do they get first? No, it's Xbox that gets first, which is tomorrow. There's press conferences tomorrow. But I'm going to be focusing right now on PlayStation. Unfortunately, I'm going to say that PlayStation, despite it being the company that I sort of went for in terms of winner of 2013, excuse me, I'm going to say that they're not going to win this time. Am I going to say that they're going to lose? No, I don't think they will, but it's a very interesting coordination with them. Now, I'm going to tell you what I want them to do and what could get them to win if they chose to. Now, granted, some of these are small things that would need to compile in order to grant them the hypothetical bragging rights crown that one receives after quote unquote winning the E3. Regardless, I want to talk about PlayStation Now. Now, PlayStation Now seems to be one of either an app that's going to do fucking nothing, or it's going to do fucking everything for the PlayStation as a whole. Now, PlayStation... God damn it, I'm going to have to stop saying now. The PS Now is... There's been a leak suggesting that it's a rental service app as opposed to something that you can actually download like old titles for, etc., etc. We figured it was just sort of like an eShop type thing where, I mean, at least I've heard a lot of speculation that was going to be some form of eShop, and I could envision that. However, I have also heard rumors that that PS Now would actually be an app that, when attributed to the PlayStation 4 and or Vita, you can play old games on it. And when it comes to old games on it, by that I mean stuff you've downloaded, or when it comes to PS4, actual like hard discs that you've bought. I've heard, and once again, this is all speculation. I have no sources for this whatsoever, except I've seen this on a couple videos, seen this theory, and that is that PS Now is going to be PlayStation's backwards compatibility patch, essentially turned into an app, because God knows the PS4, why it doesn't have backwards compatibility blows the fucking mind. And let me explain why. The PlayStation 4 can read DVDs. So with that in mind, it can also read CD-ROMs, AE, the PS3, well not PS3, the PS2 and PS1 games. So obviously there's some kind of wear in the either in the games themselves or the which I doubt, or the product itself that forbids any playing of old games. Now, there is I now granted they could just give us both. They could give us PlayStation Now as well as backwards compatibility. However, I don't honestly think PlayStation 4 needs backwards compatibility as of right now. Don't get me wrong, I'd fucking love it. There are plenty of PS3 titles that I haven't gotten the chance to play that I would love to. And same goes for, well, I mean, I'm talking about original Xbox here. I have a 360, so I can't complain about that. Xbone library, what library? Oh, I'm just kidding, folks. I honestly think that the reason why this isn't going to show is because PlayStation 4 doesn't need compatibility. We've seen it. It fucking sells like hotcakes. It doesn't need what we want. If it did have backwards compatibility, they'd sell a shit ton more. But I think they still want to keep going with selling PS3s. I mean, shit, how many games are on both PS4 and PS3 now, as well as Xbone and 360? I can't even begin to count. It's gotten insane, and until they steer completely free of PlayStation 3, we won't be seeing backwards compatibility. In my foresight, I predict that's what's going to happen. So no backwards compatibility. PS Now, I honestly, it's a mixed bag. They announced this almost half a year ago, and I still don't know what the fuck it is. Anyway, we're moving on now to Project Morpheus, aka Sony's version of the freaking what's it called? Oculus Rift. There you go. The Oculus Rift. I'm an answer to that. Anyway, essentially what the Project Morpheus is supposed to be is a VR headset that can be interacted with. I believe it's PlayStation 4 only. It could also be Vita for some reason. I highly doubt that, but it's a possibility, unfortunately. But Project Morpheus, I'm really looking forward to that in particular because, granted, I don't think that it would work with every game. I'm not like everybody else who says, oh, I can't wait to play horror games in immersion and just puke my pants. I puke in my pants. Yes, that's what everybody does. I want Project Morpheus to be good because of the fact that the Oculus Rift, it takes so I've heard, it takes a goddamn load of expertise in at least like software, in at least the software field, in order to utilize it to its full potential. With the Project Morpheus, if I understand correctly, all it takes is like a single plugin, and boom, you've got VR just like that. That's fucking incredible. I'd love that. I mean, granted, once again, I wouldn't use it for everything, but man, it would be a fantastic thing to look at, and maybe I would. I mean, I highly doubt I would discard it at some point and just not touch it. I'd probably do that whenever, like, I don't have company over. If I have company over, then I would immediately just go to TV. obviously. I mean, I'm not going to buy more than one of that goddamn Morpheus. And regardless, I think that it has a lot of potential as long as they sell it right. If it goes over $150, which oh, if that's the case, then that would be a miracle. If it went under $150, well, 150 max. If it went 150 max, then it would sell like hotcakes. If they did it, and if they went anywhere past that, I doubt I would want to buy it. I mean, I've got better things to buy on my hands. Plus, once again, it's just another it's just another, really, if you think about it, it's just another hardware gimmick, and it could last a lot longer. I mean, it'll obviously last longer than PlayStation Move, but it could last longer than Kinect ever did. With that being said, however, I doubt, unfortunately, that it'll be priced at 150. It'll probably be priced at more. And with that being said, I think that it'll be like, they'll probably have like 2 in every store maximum. I think this shit will be extremely hard to find. I could be wrong about that, but VR hasn't exactly reached a level of productivity in which people are happy selling it at a lower price. Now, with that being said, I think that PlayStation would be best in giving us a software focus. Like, for example, I do really enjoy the library, the look of the new PlayStation 4 theme, the whole main list, whatever you call it, the main page. I can't even think of it right now. But there isn't enough like free space for like people to actually express themselves within the boundaries of the PlayStation 4 main page. Like on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. I'm not sure about the Xbox, but on those two systems, you could buy themes for games. You could design. I mean, on the Xbone and on the 360, you can design a character, but on either one, you can buy a theme based around a game or something that would modify your homepage into something that actually is referenced to something that you enjoy. Now, I want that in PlayStation 4, and if it's not on Xbone, put it on Xbone as well. I don't give a shit. This is about PlayStation now. And I also want them to sort of reorganize the PlayStation Network on the PS4, primarily because of the fact that I feel like it's very cluttered. It's not as cluttered as it is on the 360 nowadays, thankfully. Ever since they added Bing, all I want is to have all the Xbox and all the 360 titles alphabetically. Whatever happened to that? If it's still there, I can't fucking find it. Now, like I said, the PlayStation Store feels a bit clunky because of because of the search engine and the fact that we haven't had enough games yet. I can imagine if they did need to fill up more space than actually necessary, but I just feel like there can be plenty of room on the page that they aren't utilizing. Like, every page is an entire advertisement for one game. Now, granted, I feel like the 360 is a clusterfuck, but I would like for it to be tailored to the games that you enjoy. I would like I don't particularly like ads, and I don't think that it would be a good idea to put general ads on the PlayStation 4 network. However, I do feel like they should put more effort into advertising other games, and that way you can actually explore around a bit as opposed to immediately jump from page to page or just immediately go to the page that you're looking for. I like variety, and I think that would be a good step. Now, that being said, I also wish that they would put a lot more video game apps on the PlayStation 4, if that makes sense. I want a freaking app that, I guess, an organizer app. I don't know. Moving on, let's talk exclusives here for a moment, okay? I the PlayStation 4 was blew another thing that helped it win last year was announcements of countless fucking games. That was one of the primary selling points of the damn thing. Was so many exclusive games. And now look what happened. They pushed them all back, delayed to 2015 or any other anonymous date. I apologize for that snapping sound, but it's seems to me like in order to sell the audience now, at least gaming audiences, they need exclusives, like not just random throw out there because it's token exclusives like Second Son. Well, I mean, arguably that's more of a spinoff, but I mean like Killzone and Knack, which disappointed everybody. Unfortunately, I've got it. I still haven't opened it. I plan to eventually, but every time I do, I hesitate. Um, no, it needs more exclusives. Not only does it need more exclusives that simply aren't there just cuz, it needs exclusives that are coming this year. I'm sick of waiting. That E3 2013, 2 years. They delayed something announced at that E3 for 2 years. And now that The Last Guardian's been canceled, fuck! What more are you gonna do? What do we do? What can we do? I'll tell you what you can do, Sony. You can honestly give us games. Please. You've got a moderately slightly bigger, arguably bigger library than the Xbone, but even then, we just want some exclusives that we can call our own that are standouts above the Xbone. Right now, the Xbone does have one exclusive that actually works to its advantage as far as I'm concerned, and it's Dead Rising 3. With that being said, Capcom is bound to release one on PS4, so that's going to be hell. And plus, they announced a Windows version coming this summer, so that's kind of gonna fuck up Microsoft hardcore. And on the subject of exclusives, I think that one of the best things that you can do, Sony, is buy back Kingdom Hearts. Buy it back, keep it exclusive to Sony. Because if I bought a 360 before the PlayStation 3 came out. Within those months. It was my birthday. What do you want? And if I had known Kingdom Hearts 1.5 or any of the other console version Kingdom Hearts games weren't gonna be on there, I would have fucking bought PS3 in a heartbeat. I would have. I would trade away my Xbox 360 for a goddamn game system that can play all the games I already have for the 360, as well as Kingdom Hearts. I mean, fuck, I'd have to give up Halo, but oh no. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, that game has aged for me. It has aged like butter. Ugh. And honestly, I hope they push back from Vita at this point. And unfortunately, I think it's slowly dying out, the Vita. I've never said this about the Wii U or anything, but the Vita it's just there. I've heard pretty okay things from people that I know who've bought it, but nobody that says it's worth the money. They got Assassin's Creed Liberation, and they don't even have that anymore since the HD release came out. It's been ridiculous. And I mean, with the Vita TV, that's a nice touch. I mean, I'll get to finally play Birth by Sleep, for crying out fuck, assuming that Vita TV plays PSP games, which it probably will and should. But speaking of which, I also think that the Vita TV may also give us backward compatibility. I could be wrong about that, but it is definitely a possibility at this point. And once again, they need to reinforce what they did last E3, which is strong indie support. That's one of the main things that keeps PC guys screaming at the top of their lungs. Is oops, sorry about that. La 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 la. Thank you, computer. They said that there'd be plenty of indie support for anybody who was interested in making games, and I can't find any of that on the PS4 now. And that was a huge focus. That was one of the things that deterred their whole Viacom conflict with the whole copyright issue for the PS4. And of course, that turned out to be completely false hope. But anyway, I think that they need more indie games on there. Like, give us some of those boring ass but difficult as shit operating games. I know it'll be different because you'll be utilizing a controller, but even then, they can work on it. They can give us so much. It can be like the Xbox Live Summer Sale, like the original one that had like a ton of awesome indie games for it. And now that they've now it's just nothing. There's no indie games that I can find on there that are worth my goddamn time. I found plenty on the Xbox 360. I found Techno Kitten Adventure. Anything from 21 Studios is fucking amazing. The Dishwasher. What else is there? Yeah. Sorry, I know there's more but I can't think of any off the top of my head. What is it called? Ovary Obliterator, something like that. And a whole bunch of other games that I really thoroughly enjoy and go back to constantly. Whatever happened to those? We were promised this on the PlayStation, and it's no longer there. And with that being said, if they can't give us direct indie content, here is my suggestion. And it is something that is probably the least likely on the entire fucking list I've got here. And that is a Steam app. Yeah, I said it. Steam apps. Steam app for PlayStation 4. Not the Xbone, because apparently Gabe Newell has problem with the Xbone. Other than that, I would think that I would count that for the Xbone 2. But the PlayStation 4 is essentially a broken PC. And with that being said, why not put Steam on there? Why not put, granted, they would have to elaborate on some stuff, make some games unavailable for use on the PlayStation, and just a whole bunch of legal work. But that adds a fuck ton of fucking games onto your console that will never ever be on Xbone because of the drama between Microsoft and Gabe Newell. It would be perfect. You'd win. You would fucking win if that was a thing. And Gabe, he doesn't care what you play on. He just wants you to play. So if this could be a thing, if you let it, if you guys just collaborated, and we would all appreciate that. And of course, my last topic being Project Beast, essentially the new Dark Souls that's PS4 exclusive. That should not only be be a game that you focus on during E3, but it should be one of those releases that you have essentially focused on during your E3 conference. You need to get that stuff together. You need to really push whatever you're selling this year, because next year is not gonna wait for you. Oh, Xbone, I'll never love you. Nobody ever will love you. You may find a good home or two, but you have started off in a wrong neighborhood, motherfucker. Let me tell you what. Unfortunately, folks, I'm not gonna hold my breath for this puppy here. Once again, to recuperate, the reason why they lost the 2013 conference is primarily because of the fact that they tripped over themselves and broke their neck on the fucking floor. After then, the doves they released for a ceremony ended up shitting all over their fucking corpse. And all they've done to sort of repair this unfortunate circumstance the X-Bone has found itself in is to backtrack. And in and since practically a year, in fact, in a year since the X-Bone was first unveiled, they have not backtracked enough on this little guy to promote him to something that's actually worth buying, in my humble opinion. You guys may have different opinions. I'm not saying it's the worst console in the world, but it could be a lot better. It could be something worth some goddamn money. Now, the one thing that being said, it could win. It could have the potential to win. Unfortunately, however, it doesn't have as many options as the rest of its competition in order to improve itself. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's because I can't help but hate the X-Bone. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love my 360. I'm not a fanboy, I just fucking hate the X-Bone. Alright, now, that being said, here's the ways that Xbox can win the competition here, and that is to not fuck up, not break their necks and get shat over. Now, by that I mean they need to not only dial back, they need to suppress. They need to suppress what happened last year. They need to pretend like that shit never fucking happened. They need to forget about Don Matrick. They need to forget about Adam Orth. They need to forget about internet costs. They need to forget about every little thing that is negative about the X-Bone. Granted, they do need to address the bad parts at some point, but that being said, let's not address it when you're trying to promote it. Does that make sense? I mean, absolutely. It needs to be addressed. Just wait until you've got some steam going before you start slowing down. Before you say, nope, I'm out, goodbye. By that, I mean, don't mention Connect. Don't mention it. Don't say a damn thing about the fucking Connect. Because it's going to do all of what it's already shown to do. It's going to either... It's only good for Skype and voice commands, and that's it. End of story. It's not going to do anything special for you. It's not going to sell you more games. It's not going to do anything to help your case. So for the love of God, avoid the Kinect. Avoid discussing it, avoid introducing games for it, completely shut it out. You've released the Kinect free version, that's a good thing. I'll get to that in a minute, but as of right now, you need to avoid it like the motherfucking plague, so help me God. Nobody wants it anymore. Anybody who wanted it has got it now. End of story. Now, with that being said, there is something you should avoid even more. That's right, more. More than the fucking Kinect. And that is the television. Don't talk about live television. Nobody watches live televisions except for those except for those guys who watch crappy shows like Game of Thrones and Walking Dead. Oh, I went there. Okay, I'm lying. You can enjoy whatever the hell you want to enjoy and watch whatever you want to watch. But once again, those are two shows that show up at most like 4 or 5 times a week. That's not enough to keep your viewer interested. Everything else is DVR'd. That's the way the modern day works, Microsoft, excuse me. That's the way the modern day works. We don't have time for shit. And when we want time for shit, we record it and save it for a space for later. We don't like having to go out of our way for entertainment. So with that being said, either give us a DVR or don't fucking mention live TV. Don't. At all. Focus on the games. Focus on the games. That is the one thing that you have right now over Sony, and that is games. You have, granted, you don't have as many in the works. You've claimed to have about, how many was it? Like 15 at last year's E3? Whatever happened to those? I know one of them is Quantum Break, and once again, you seem, I mean, this is still going based off of the 2013, but Quantum Break has its own TV show. Halo, one of the main focuses, was a Halo TV show / movie with Steven Spielberg for some fucking reason, because Lord knows that guy doesn't like a good paycheck. The point that I'm trying to make here is that the reason why you have an opportunity to outweigh Sony in terms of games is primarily because of the fact that these games that you have said very little about have not been delayed. Why? Because you haven't discussed them. What you need to do is fucking ambush them. You need to push. You need to sell three exclusives this year for the Expo. Then we'll talk. Then we'll talk. I'll give a general nod to your direction and not wince every time I see a blue achievement on any gameplay screen I watch. All right, so focus on your new exclusives and release them sooner. That is the way you can outdo Sony. And that is the best example that you can get. And speaking of Halo Legends, people are getting kind of sick of it. I mean, unfortunately, granted, it was a good idea at one time. Unfortunately, it's starting to milk away into the nothingness, like God of War Ascension and... Wait, was it God of War Ascension? And then the Gears of War Judgment. It's getting to the point to where the people are sort of sick of the same old characters and same old narrative. Like, the reason why Call of Duty still sells countless many, even though it's starting to go down ever since COD Ghosts reared its ugly head. Unfortunately, Halo, at least it focuses on new narratives most of the time, and it actually brings some sort of personal stamp to the main campaign, as opposed to Halo and Gears of War and pretty much every space shooter that has come to light recently, and God of War, which is people get tired of the same old characters. So granted, I feel like Halo Reach was fantastic until they decided to fuck with the multiplayer. Multiplayer was not so great. And plus, there's the fact that 343 is still working on Halo, and not many people invest as much into them as they did Bungie. But people unfortunately, don't typically focus on development teams as much as they do the titles themselves. In time, I think this will be a fixed thing, but as of right now, mainstream audience could care less who's making what game as long as it's that specific franchise. And something the Xbone also needs, even though it doesn't need it as badly as the PlayStation 4, is backwards compatibility. The reason why I say it doesn't need it as much is primarily because of the fact that a ton of people have Xbox 360s. Not only that, but it was the 360 was also much better than the PlayStation 3 at handling third-party titles. And unless you're Nintendo, third-party titles are a lot of what hold up your console in terms of sales. Now, I know what you're thinking. The PlayStation 3 and Wii sort of outsold the 360 worldwide, while the 360 stayed top selling in America. Now, that being said, I believe that I could be mistaken, but I believe Microsoft, uh, did they break even with the 360? I can't be sure. But regardless, like I said, if they, I mean, backwards compatibility, fuck. Like I said, mainly third party titles that were on both. That were on both PS3 and 360. Unless you want to play Gears of War and Halo on your Xbone, then there's no point to it, really. I mean, you could just buy a PS3 or Xbox 360 and they would play third-party titles pretty much just as well. Plus, you'd have a less fucked up controller. Okay. And the last thing that I want to address with the Xbone is that I feel like with the dropping of said Kinect, that was a brilliant move. But what they need to do is redesign the fucking thing. They need to redesign. And this is a very petty thing, but granted, image is a lot in the gaming world, unfortunately. Look at Ubisoft. The Xbone is a fucking ugly. Is still. It was better than what it originally looked like, but it's still a fucking ugly, fucking VCR looking thing that pretty much just looks like my old surround sound amplifier option back in 1998. It's fucking thick as fuck, and it's square and it's rectangular, and it's just unpleasant to look at. Like, at least when I look at a PS4, I can say that's a console. When I look at the 360, I just see an anonymous box, something like a general entertainment system. I know that's what they're going for, but that's not what sells. What sells is something that stands out. And as far as I'm concerned, the Xbone is probably one of the most uncreatively designed consoles ever. Ever. Oh god, even it makes the Atari Jaguar look creative. Man, they need to rehash that shit, remodel it, create a more appealing look like they did with the Xbox Elite and the Xbox Slim. They need to do that, except they need to push it now. They need to push it right the fuck now. Like, as soon as E3's over, boom, new model, here you go, come get it. You want the old model, then you get it with the Kinect. End of story. That way, it'll all work out for everybody, and everybody who doesn't have the Kinect doesn't feel like they're missing a part of their soul when they go out and buy their new fucking toy. Ha. Hey, the rising superstar of E3, fucking Nintendo, coming out, fucking has a huge opportunity. Now that the Wii U sales have broke the motherfucking bank, we need Nintendo to come out swinging. Otherwise, if they don't, then they have ultimately kissed being a mainstream gaming platform goodbye. And they will end up sticking to handhelds and software. That is my prediction if they fail to come out with everything. In fact, I dare say they have the most possibilities of this entire list. Let's see. Nintendo. Now, I don't expect you to do anything else, but in case you need some fair reminders, talk about, don't stop believing in fucking games. You need to push and sell as many games as you can. Now that everybody has given up on their whole, oh, Wii U doesn't have anything on it. No, nothing. Just because they have no real third-party focus, that does not in any way mean that you need to throw in the towel, Nintendo. You need to show off just how many third-party exclusives you can get. Not only that, but how many first party titles we all love, we've all come to know over the years. You need to come in with your fists swinging and say, yo, games, 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 uppercut, games, headshot, games. You need to push and shove games in everybody's fucking in everybody's fucking faces until they start throwing up coins and cash. Okay, they people have put their faith in you once again. Don't disappoint them. Second of all, as doubtful as this is, I think that a price cut would also be sweeten the deal. Now, granted, it's already had a slight price cut from the original, it being cheaper than every other console on the market now. That being said, a price cut would really sweeten the deal. But since the Wii U is suddenly exploding, just all over the world. Like, have you guys heard of the 666% sales increase in Europe? It's fucking nuts. And now, unfortunately, we won't see a price cut, but that is a very small thing in the hindsight of the entirety of E3 and their potential here. Now, what we would also like to see from Nintendo is new licenses, stuff that has been festering in Nintendo that they've never had the opportunity to release. Not a gimmick like Nintendogs. Not a third-party game that you're hoping to turn into a franchise like 100 101. You need a new first-party license that you are confident enough that you can stick to, that you can hold up next to all of your other products like the Marios and the Pokemons and the Zeldas. You need a new or at least very old rebooted franchise with a game that will get people hooked to it. Understand? I mean, granted, that's not what everybody comes to you for, but people will do that if you happen to do that. If you happen to create a new license that is inventive, that nobody else can have. That's the one thing that Wii U has that PS4 and Xbox lack, and that is complete first party reliance. You have the power to create whole new licenses if you chose to. You need to take that advantage, and you need to prove to the world that you can sell new shit just like you can improve old shit. Okay? Second of all, speaking of which, you're one of the few companies that can name drop with no repercussion. You've got Miyamoto and Miyamoto, you've got Grant Kirkhope, you've got people working at Platinum, although Platinum may lean towards Microsoft, in which case that may be trouble. For you at least, not for Xbone. But you've got so many important people under your belt that are relevant to gaming. Take advantage of that shit. You will not have repercussions like the E3 2012 with the whole Usher bullshit with Xbone. Okay, you can do this. I believe in you. You can name drop like crazy, and you can talk about who's working on your game. Believe it or not, in the games industry, name dropping does still matter. It matters now more than it ever did back in the 90s or whenever the hell gaming was around. Now, let's talk Mario Maker. The one fucking leaked thing in all of E3, as far as I'm aware, is the fucking Mario Maker, which I'm okay. I'm not against that sort of thing. I mean, fuck, I love Mario just as much as the next motherfucker. But that being said, we already have Mario Maker, I'm afraid. Like, all the PC guys, they play ROM hacks and expert stuff that's designed by countless many peoples. Granted, it would be fantastic to do it by oneself, but if I require to like pay like a full 60 G's for it, like a regular any other game, dream on, Nintendo. Once again, I can get this through ROM hacks, and I'm a fucking Mac. I've got Mario on here. I can play it on my own, as well as download custom maps for it, and I'm a Mac. It's just not gonna happen. I mean, if you if you hand it out for free, it will sell. It'll sell your consoles. It'll sell whatever you put it on Wii U, 3DS. It will sell that. But if you do plan on making it a full-fledged game, and it is just a rehash of create your own Mario maps, then I'm afraid you won't get too many people interested. Primarily because one of the things that we look to in Mario is creative new design. Like, I mean, how is this going to reflect in boss fights? Will you have to reuse bosses and just change the stage slightly? Granted, this is all speculation. We haven't actually seen how Mario Maker works. But judging by the looks of the stand that's in there, by the name of the freaking system, I doubt it'll do much. I mean, that's just my opinion, but it's better than nothing. And with the success of the Wii U, one of the big selling games that is selling the Wii U, I don't need to tell you, you already know in your heart, Mario Kart 8. The game is fantastic. I haven't even played it, and I can already tell. Whoa, I dropped something. Hold on, folks. Nope, it's gone. Oh well. Now, with that being said, they need to push this. Once again, going back to the whole push and vomit conversation I just had with myself. With this whole craving for new Nintendo racers, there is something more that you can do to increase Wii U sales. And without too much effort, actually. And that is, and I know this is a long shot, this is probably one of the most unlikely things, however I feel like it is important, a new F-Zero. Dude, that would be amazing! F-Zero on those kinds of graphics, those kinds of speeds, just with the familiar gameplay of Mario Kart. Just like, oh, make it happen. I don't need to say any more. Make it happen. Please, please. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah. Whew. Now that's out of the way. We also need plenty of third-party exclusives. Granted, they clearly won't be as good as first-party titles, but they're something that is very important to have. You've got Platinum under your belt, still, hopefully. And I think Bayonetta is freaking, what's it called? Hold up, I'm looking it up right now. I think that's Namco focused, is it? Let's see, developer Platinum, is this strictly Nintendo? Let's see. Where's the original Bayonetta? There it is. Okay. Who owns it? Sega. Okay, so you've got Sega. Sega is another good one to have under your belt. You are very close with them. You competed with them in the 90s. Good for you for making amends. You need to push all of the companies that you're still friends with. You need to encourage them to stop making 3DS games. Stop making anything for anybody else. You need to partner up with somebody and say either, hey, let's work together, or buy them out and say, hey, you're mine now. You can do that with Sega. I believe in you, Nintendo, and you could even do that with, dare I say, Platinum. So what's stopping you? No, seriously, what's stopping you though? Nothing. Nothing except all the money woes. Actually, there's plenty stopping you if you count all the monies. But regardless, you can release some damn good third-party games. Not probably as console selling as your as the rest of your lineup, but certainly something that people can tip their hat toward. Now, with that being said, remember back in the day, back in the good old days of the Wii, I mean, not Wii, of the GameCube, when when it originally came out in purple, then it came out in yellow, then it came out in blue, red, everything, every single color. I got platinum myself. Platinum was fucking awesome. But they need more of that. They need, like, granted, like the PlayStation 4 and the Xbone, they're stuck with black and white because, it's just this color of the revel of the day. And honestly, I can't imagine it looking better in any other color because they got that boring matte or piano look to piano, whatever it's called, the piano black to them. But you don't have to go with that. I've seen a Wii U before. I've seen it in real life. You can easily make multicolored Wii U's. I mean, oh my god, what if there was a translucent, like, atomic purple Wii U? That would be amazing! That would be a beautiful thing. I know atomic purple is way out there, but a different color model isn't that hard to make. And it would sell. It would sell because it's another personal staple. Like I mentioned with the PS4 and the remodeling of the homepage. People like expressing themselves, and they will pay money to do that. And another way they express themselves is by choosing colors. It's an easy customization option that would cost you little and end up profiting you in the long run. Get to work on making a prettier, more wholesome Wii U. That's simple enough, I think. And of course, we need to not push any more unnecessary hardware for the Wii U. Unfortunately, the gamepad has turned a lot of people off. Hell, I really want to just stick with the Pro Controller myself because the Wii U gamepad gets like super heavy. It gets really it runs out battery like a motherfucker. I mean, granted, my PS4 controller isn't a walk in the park with its battery, but shit, it's better than this. It's better than the fucking controller that is wireless and has a tiny cord. Granted, once again, PS4, it needs a longer cord as well. But we need a less hardware focus. Now, I do love the whole GameCube controller port to it. I mean, I know it's going to have limited access, but I imagine a lot of your first party games to have accessibility through the GameCube controller. You already have accessibility through the Wii Classic controller, and all you need to do is make a modified program of that, and boom, you've got a whole nother console. You've got a whole new console with one of the best controllers you've ever made. Well, actually, no, I'm gonna say the best controller you ever made, Nintendo. All you need to do is just make more games and let them be accessible through the GameCube controller. And so you need to focus less on new hardware and focus on selling games and software. Software is where you're starting to fail. Now, not starting to, but where you have started to fall. But now you're picking up, like I said. And also, just push the Wii U. The 3DS can sell itself. It has sold itself. It is a fantastic system with fantastic games, as I've mentioned before. So you can put up a little booth here and there for it, but when it comes to your Nintendo Direct, this upcoming one, don't mention it. You don't have to. You don't need to. It's simple as that. But speaking of the 3DS, and I'm sure all of you are wondering this yourselves, where is the 3DS to Wii U porting system? The 3DS already has Bluetooth technology in it. It already has internet access in it. I mean, maybe not Bluetooth, but it certainly does have internet access. Why can't I stream what I'm doing on my 3DS to my TV? The top screen is shaped like a TV. The Wii U gamepad and the bottom screen of the 3DS are relatively the same size. Where is it? Where is my program that lets me play my goddamn Pokemons, my goddamn Animal Crossings, my goddamn Scribblenauts, my goddamn Pokemons again? Where is that for my Wii U? Do you know how many licenses, how many people love the 3DS? And people almost give up on the Wii U. They almost did. I never did, but plenty of people almost did. People have been saying, oh, when is Nintendo gonna die? I never said that, but I've heard people say that. And I'll tell you what can increase the Wii U sales exponentially. That is a 3DS converter for your Wii U. Already got the gamepad, already got the TV, top screen, bottom screen, it can fucking happen. The 3D, not so much, but nobody even cares about the goddamn 3D on the thing. That's the awesome thing about the 3DS. It sells itself despite it being revolved around a gimmick. People don't even pay attention to that shit. I put a child lock on my goddamn own manly 3DS because I don't care for the 3D and it wastes energy. It wastes the battery away, whittles it away like nothing. Chocolate, gone. If you manage to get me a 3DS to Wii U thing, I will love it more than I ever loved my Wii. Ever. Even when the new Smash Brothers isn't in there yet. I'll still love the Wii U more than I'll love my old Wii. And speaking of Smash, that's the game. That's the golden ticket you've got. Got it in your hands. You've got the 3DS version is coming out this summer. The holiday version is coming out on holidays on the Wii U. You need to put a demo version at your booth. You need to introduce us to a slew of characters, not just one, not just two. You need to do 3 minimum characters in order to attract attention. And I'm talking a mix of old and new. Maybe 2 old, 1 new, maybe 2 new, 1 old, maybe all new. As long as they aren't all old characters, okay? And that being said, like I said, that's the minimum amount of characters. Now, I don't want you to blow the entirety of your load just yet, despite the 3DS version coming out. The maximum you should release is 7 characters. And even if they're a majority old, if it's 7, that's okay. We'll tolerate that. As long as it's not a vast majority, okay? You need to address 7 new characters, maximum, 3 minimum, and you'll sell. You'll sell big. You will grab the attention of so many people. And why not make it unexpected, you know? Add a character from another franchise. Add a really old character that nobody would have expected. I'm still waiting for the goddamn Green Ranger. The actor who played him is still alive and still voice him. This game is being developed by people at Namco. The Power Ranger thing can happen. And that's my personal desire for this Smash Brothers. If that's the case, I'm gonna buy both versions. I'm gonna buy both versions, full price, end of story. If you just throw in the Green Ranger, God, flapjacks, damn it. Whew. And that summarizes my opinions on the up and coming E3 2014 conference. Who do I think will win? I honestly believe that the person with the most, and the company with the most opportunities to win over its audience is Nintendo. While PlayStation does have more opportunities than the Xbone, all of its opportunities are huge stammering possibilities. They are extremely pricey, and unfortunately, I highly doubt that they will, in fact, get around to these. They're less likely to get around to these, like Nintendo is theirs. Now, Xbox, if they manage to release new exclusives within the year, I can guarantee they will win. They will win, and if they do not mention Kinect or television. If they mention Kinect, just briefly. Don't mention television. Don't, for the love of God, no more cameos. For the love of God. Just Xbone, focus on games, and push them out before Sony and even before majority of the planned list for Nintendo comes out. Then, even though I'll never buy an Xbone, I mean, fuck, unless there's a Holocaust and that's the only game worth playing, then I'm not planning on getting one. But I'll still admit you'll win. You'll win. Colors everywhere. Xbone, gray, I guess. I don't know. Now, like I said, Xbone, as long as it follows a Swift code, it may win. And that is an awfully specific code. Unlike PlayStation, that has to take leaps and boundaries. They're running through the forest. And Xbone is running through an obstacle course, where they're on a thread. They are on a balancing thread right now, and they can still hold on. They just need to not make a single solitary mistake. PlayStation can make mistakes as long as they make so very few that entirely outweigh the positive. Let me start over. PlayStation needs to focus on the better. Or the goods need to outweigh the bads when it comes to PlayStation. That's the way that they'll be able to get a leg up and win another E3. As opposed to Xbone, which is saying, hey, don't fuck up and give us nothing but good news. With that being said, however, once again, Nintendo has the most opportunities, and unlike Xbox, they don't have to run fucking loops. As I run through fucking hoops with flames. All they need to do is just come out swinging. It's just like Sony last year. All Nintendo has to do is just come out swinging, and they can even trip over themselves a bit as long as they keep things fresh and entertaining. Okay, maybe not so fresh. I mean, fuck, how long has it been around? All of these Marios and the Zeldas, but I digress. Nintendo has its eggs laid out for him. Has its bed made. All it needs to do is lie in it, and fucking confetti will shoot out of the air. Now that being said, if it chooses to lie on the ground and do absolutely fuck all, then it will ultimately not matter in the long run, and it will lose. Nintendo is the underdog. It is a rising superstar. As long as it does something to encourage optimism and intrigue, it will be the winner of E3 2014. So with that being said, folks, I hope you stay wild and watch E3. I mean, it's just a pretty fun time. Bye.